They'll lynch you, but he did, and he laughs at
Morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. Transfers seem to be a bit like buses when it comes to West Ham. We wait all summer for one transfer, although it hasn't been confirmed yet. And by all accounts, a second one is very, very shortly upon us as well. According to several reports, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, a guy we've been linked with before, I mentioned him, Man City under 21 winning captain for England, the centre-back, is apparently very close to joining West Ham, according to Man City News, Scamacca Web. They claim that we are very, very close to signing him. So it could be one, or not just one, for Man City. Let's bring in my esteemed partner in crime, my channel husband, as I had to call GP the other day. How are we doing, Anton, mate?
I'm not bad, mate. I'm not bad. I know you wanted to do this little show yourself, but I seen you coming on, and I thought I'm just going to jump on with you.
Just jump on. You need to put that up a little bit, though.
Yeah, I need to sort it out. Apologies, everyone.
But at least you can't see your screen, or you can now. The way you've just put that is so wonky.
I'll just ignore it.
Hey, look, London's going to wait that.
We'll deal with it later on.
So obviously Taylor Harwood-Bellis. I mean, when we were linked to, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, we mentioned him, about 15 million quid, and now it seems to apparently be on the horizon. I can't get my head around what's happening at the moment. It's just so random at the moment with transfers in West Ham.
It really is. It's like you can throw every name under the sun into the mix, and then suddenly something will stick. But essentially, it's a step in a different direction, and it's a good direction, to be honest. It should be. I suppose everything takes time for West Ham to adjust to. So if we are looking at this route that we're looking at going down, and this is going to be new to us and new to the mindsets, new to the fans. If David Moyes decides to play differently, then this is going to be new to West Ham and new to what we're used to. But in terms of the players we're linked to, that's a positive step in the right direction. It's maybe not your typical household names, but neither were players that were signed from other clubs that we look at and go, wow, look at Casido from Brighton. I mean, let's be brutally honest. Nobody had heard of him before he came to Brighton. And it goes down the long list of players that many of these teams have signed. So we talk about trying to copy models of snapping up some of the best talent around Europe. Well, it looks like if we get these two deals over the line, we're not just snapping up two of the best talents around Europe, but actually in our country, and at questionably the best team.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where there does seem to have been a real step change in the last sort of, I'd say, 2.5 weeks or so in terms of the players we've been linked with. We're still linked with the likes of Palhinha. Apparently a second bid or a final bid is going to be submitted next week, apparently. But then you've got this other side where it's like, Carlos Borges, you've got Harwood-Bellis, we've looked at Ian Marston, we've got 3 guys from France, Andre Truffet. That's very good, mate. So I was got Andre Truffet. Ismail Jacobs from Monaco, who's quite interesting because he's got Bundesliga background. And there's another one as well. I can't remember his name. Melvin. That's his name. His name's Melvin. I wonder if he's the first player to play for West Ham whose name is Melvin.
He's a proper Melvin as well.
Copper Melvin. But I mean, that takes our list to 123 players. I'm on my last row. Christ, I don't know what happens. I have to go even smaller with
But do you know what? Essentially, when you look through that list, that is, you can let's pick out some names that Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that kind of puts to bed those kind of players that were potentially linked to in the past. By looking at the players that we're potentially looking at bringing in, like I said, it's a step in the right direction. It's a bit of a no-brainer. They've got some strong youth experience.
Yep.
They come with a lot of plaudits. My dad. I was talking to my dad tonight, and he said to me, "Oh, well, why would if Carlos Borges is so good. Why are Man City getting rid of him? And I said, well, Dad, I mean, like 105 million quid on 100 million quid on Jack Grealish. Look at the amount of money that's been spent at the top level. The trajectory of these players coming through are really is good. Is if we think the trajectory for our youth system is tough, then you've got to look at the trajectory for teams that are spending all the money.
Totally. I mean, like, don't forget the last two transfer windows, summer transfer windows, Southampton have bought 3 players from Man City, and so they have so many young players and so many good young players that they're not going to get much of a look in. So they are sold, but with this, we know that Carlos, part of the initial negotiations is some buyback. We don't know what the price of the buyback is. I'm sure we'll find out if it happens. And I'm sure Harwood-Bellis is the same thing. I mean, the fact is, for someone like Harwood-Bellis, they just bought Josip, where his name is. They've got Ruben Diaz. They've got all these centre backs. He's not going to get a look in. And, it's... And there's an outside chance of a Euro spot. Don't forget, we've got the Euros next year, haven't we? So, if he's playing professional, first team Premier League football, for example, and, he has a good season, like some Maguire aren't getting any game time at the moment, unless he signs West Ham as well. And so, yeah, same as Carlos as well. There's he could make the Portuguese national side as well. So, yeah.
I think if I had to look at one concern, the one concern is that this news started coming our way 3 days ago, and we're now no further forward. Everything's gone really quiet. So I pray. The thing that frustrates me the most about this is just get the deal done.
Yeah.
What takes us so long, I don't know. Maybe there's some finer detail in the buyback clause of some sort. The big jump in valuation. And I think that's key to West Ham to get right as well, because you don't want to be, if you're trying to build for the future, you need to ensure that you're getting the best option for you as a club. So you get a player that can hopefully push you on, but also you can earn something back for giving him the best route. And also then equally, though, he needs to decide at that time, is that the right move for him?
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen in football. But for me, essentially, it's a step in the right direction. It's just frustrating that not just getting the job. I just want the job done. We need a player, mate. We do. We need like, I tell you what, this double deal, if we can get this double deal over the line, would be a absolute boost for our, morale for the season, for our mindsets for the season. Because right now you feel like, it was nice to see the boys welcome back, the international boys.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if you're playing really well. Everyone always needs a freshen up. Even like, it doesn't matter. All jokes aside, when you do like YouTube channels, like this is the reason why me and Russ has said, let's look at bringing people on, faces on. It's just a fresh approach. It's nice. It's good. It's fresh. It's what people need. Imagine you just had me and Russ speaking to you every single bloody day of every night.
Jesus.
We'd probably get annoyed with each other. So it's just like, but the point I'm trying to make is like, it's the same everywhere. You need to freshen up these things, and people need to know that there's, it's not just stagnant. It doesn't say stagnant. So,
and I think it means a lot more. Not just the fact that we'll get some signings in, but hopefully if these two come off, is that it sort of backs up everything that we think in terms of the transfers, in terms of who's looking after the transfers, in terms of the transfer policy as well. Because, the famous quote from Moisey, Christ, when he first took over, talking about the Red Bull model, and it never really happened really at all. And then Steinden's come in as technical director with all the stuff around him. He specialises in picking up players who maybe have been overlooked in the first teams, or who are just just under the radar a little bit. Arguably, that's what Carlos Borges and Harwood-Bellis are, sort of under the radar a little bit. And so, for someone, and also, for a manager who's only got sort of 11 months left of his contract, this is not his signing. These are not his signings. He can't. Taylor, for example, he's not going to upset the first two in terms of Aged or Zuma at the moment. He may come in as Zuma's replacement if Zuma gets injured, but he's not going in as a starter. Carlos Borges may do, but he offers, or he may be on the bench. You're thinking, depends what formation we play. But these have got Steiden's hands all over them. Steiden's DNA.
And do you know what? I do believe that. I don't know what to believe, if I'm being honest, about the whole kind of selection process. But there's a reason they've brought Tim Steiden in, there's no way on God's earth that David Moyes is sitting there going, what the fuck is this guy doing? I'm not going to listen to any of the players who's coming in. You know, I think he's a normal human who would sit back and listen to, you know, that they've got to have an understanding. A technical director coming in does not just bring in players for the sake of it and then say, there you go to the coach. Because if the coach can't work with them, then there's no point in the system working. So there needs to be some form of agreement in place. So if these boys are coming in, then there must be an element of signed off by Moyes. And, you know, I can work with them. I can do this. I can do that. So I do believe that, you know, it's just a case of whether or not Moyes changes his system. I believe he will. I found the interview he did at the end of the Alkmaar game, really, that was the vital one. That was the one that really cemented. If you remember when we won after Fornals spoke, he done an interview, and I really would love people to go back and watch it, because they actually said he said everything that I thought, but actually said it aloud for the first time, which was, listen, we did try some stuff earlier on in the season that didn't work. Things just didn't go our way, but I had to resort back to what I knew, which wasn't what people wanted, but I knew it would make us safe, and plus we're now in a final of Europe. But I don't genuinely believe that he wants to keep playing that way. I don't believe he genuinely wants to keep playing that way, because I'll tell you why now, because he's won Europe. He's won a cup competition. So I don't think he's going to throw it all down the drain in terms of trying to go at this flamboyant style and then make West Ham fuck up. I genuinely think Moyes, he's been in the game long enough for us. More than me and you, more than everyone here that's watching.
Over 1,000 games,
there's a reason. There's a reason why he's still in the game at this age, whether people hate him or like him. You know, there's obviously conversations taking place behind the scenes to go, we are going to be doing this a little bit differently. We need to do it a little bit differently. I think Moyes wants to do it a little bit differently, and try and build for the future. And if this is the way, and this is the starting point, then this is a build for the future. I seen one of the comments back up there saying it's technically a loan deal. Well, it is, but it's not, because in theory, when you use Man City, it's Man City protecting an asset that they've got confidence in that will be fucking amazing, and they're going to bring a low buyback clause in for the option that they can buy back, because if he turns out well, then they would have to rebid on him for 105 million quid. So, you know, there'll be a deal take place if it does come in, and I think it will work for both parties. And I think, I don't know how many times they've called back a buyback clause, not because the player's been shit, but just because they've not.
And they might have needed him as well. So it's like, you know, for you know, it's. I mean, I'm pretty sure they put a buyback on at least one, or if not all I think they had to bought 3 last year. Man City sort of young players, and I think they all had I think it's sort of their standard thing is to have a buyback, because. And if the club accepts, obviously that's part of the negotiations. People might accept it, people might want it taken out. But obviously, the fact is, you're getting someone at 14 million quid who could be, you know, I mean, he's got pace for days, this boy, isn't he? And he's skillful, he's strong, and he could make it, you know. And 14 million quid nowadays is pump money.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's horrible to say it now, but it is pump money now, and I think he hasn't got any sort of obviously Premier League experience, but we know what he did in the for the, you know, something 97 in 42 or 45 or something ridiculous like that. Yes, John, they did beat us in the national playoffs, and Carlos was one of the starring lights of that squad, and I think he actually scored. Pretty sure he scored. I think they turned us out about 3-0 at their gaff in the Nationals, and they were playing in Europe anyway this year. But so go on.
No, I was just going to say on Borges, if you get a chance, right? I don't look at it. I literally do not follow any other football team's social media account. However, when you start searching for Carlos Borges or whatever, things start to appear on your feed, right? Through that, whatever that crazy thing did they do on social media. Anyway, what came up in my feed one day was a clip which was all the top goal scorers from Man City, from their senior team to under 23s team, development team, the 21s, under 18, sorry, and the women's team. And so Haaland, Borges, the women's leading scorer and the under 18s leading scorer all sat down and watched everyone else's goals. And what I found really interesting was watch Haaland every time Borges comes on the screen. Every single time he comes on the screen, he's like, Carlos, and I'm just like, he's obviously highly, highly thought of. And then when you
Yeah.
listen to the younger lad looking up at him, he's like, oh my God, like if you want anyone on a 1-to-1, anyone on a counter attack, you know, anyone like this, he knows how to find the net, he knows how to beat the defender, clever on the ball, all that sort of stuff. Like they big him up big style. Like they really, really rate him and really like him. So that's a positive, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think, and you look at how we've sort of put Mubama sort of front and center with obviously the away shirt. You know, he's front and center in that sort of whole promotion as well. Obviously scored again today, three
Huge.
sort of pre-season goals. Today was very much like a striker's goal. You know, literally 6-yard box ball comes across from Cornet, who also scored. Wow, you know, fair play. Playing as more of a forward role, more of a central role as well. Albeit, you know, it was a 2-2 draw against Dagenham Redbridge, who did lose to Hornchurch the week before. So
That's a friendly.
I know, but it's one of those things where you take the good with the bad, don't you? So, and obviously, Areola did an absolute howler the first goal. So hopefully he'll improve by the time we play Bournemouth. But you know, he's sort of our he's the equivalent of Carlos Borges in terms of Man City and us, really, in terms of Mubama. He's front and center of our, you know, our hopes for the academy players coming through this year, and so is Carlos. I think, you know, it's very exciting, and I think he's. And we were saying the other day about you know, having a new option off the bench, and you know, someone like him with his pace and power, you know, you just throw him on with like 20 minutes to go, absolutely tear the defense as a new one. A bit like what we talked about when we were talking about Damari Gray, wasn't it, as well? Just, you know, it's that fast, just, you know, just put him on last 20 minutes and just let him go as an alternative, because like it is, he'll start with Benny, but it gives you that option. It gives you that option, which is what we've got now.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, listen, the one player you mentioned there is Divine Mubama. Like, I mean, for me personally, he looks the business, man. It's not even just about pre-season. It's about what we saw last year, and add pre-season and add what he does about, you know, his trajectory of jumping in between all the teams and banging in goals left, right, and centre. And he does not look like he's out of sorts at all. Yeah. And interestingly enough, Billy McKinley done an interview after the game today. Yeah. They asked him a few questions. One of the questions was about Divine Mubama, and he said, I think Divine has given us something to think about. He said he was really pleased with his contribution in the 2 games, and he's had good exposure. And what we always say is, you've got your opportunity, and it's really important that you take it, because you don't get too many. He's been really impressive for the first couple of weeks of pre-season, so it's really important he keeps going. Listen, it's a simple question that if you play well when you're looking to get up to the top of the pecking order, and you'll be in, whether you're 18 or 28, it does not really matter. Divine has got to continue his good performances that he's had over the last 2 or 3 games, and obviously Antonio will be back in a few days after the break and ready to go and take it from there. But if anything, you know, if I'm Divine and I'm sitting and I'm listening to that and I'm taking my chances like he's doing, and he's done it last year, you know, it's an absolute no-brainer. He's going to feature, whether
definitely
start, yeah, but he's going to be involved, and that's exciting. That's fucking huge, and that's everything we ever call for. I'm telling you now, Russ, right? I would give up one signing if I knew Divine was going to feature a lot more this season, because I've said it all along, said it for years. Clubs around Europe do it, and it's time that, you know, let's believe in the academy.
Yeah, we haven't had a, you know, until the last one would have been Ben Johnson, really, in terms of people who have made a significant amount of Premier League appearances. You know, it's all right, you know, and it's great that you have the cup competitions and the dead rubbers, really, to give the likes of Ollie Skulls and people like that sort of game time. But it's the next step on. It's how it's integrating them into a Premier League, being regular Premier League players, or even the regular cup players, because we know you do tend to have this almost 2 squads last season. So, you know, for someone like Mubama, you know, and, you know, if we're led to be believed, you know, West Ham are open to selling, obviously, Antonio to Al Fethiad, Stephen Gerrard's club out there, and Jordan Henderson now, and someone else has gone there. Another Premier League player's gone there. But if they're open to that as an option of him to go, so if that's the case, then you think Mubama moves up 1 spot in the sort of the pecking order, really. So. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think he's excited. He's genuinely excited by this to see what happens.
Russ will be back in 2 seconds. Sorry.
No worries, man. No worries. No worries. Murray's obviously having a word. Loads of comments. Let's go for a few. Oh my God, Russ, wearing that for another bet. I told you I had a blue one after Nick's Gary's thing the other day. If Mickey goes and we've got Mubama, Scamacca in, do you think we need another striker? Getting Borges will be great for depth. Competition for Benny and Fornals could be competing in a central role. Yeah, and also I think you've got. We know Moyes is keen to play Cornet in that central role as well. So I think if Mickey goes, I think striker or forward is, and also again, it's what formation we play. You know, Bowen's played up front quite a bit last season as well when they sort of moved to more of a 2 up front as well. So I think we're sort of covered really. I know it's probably not an out and out striker that we'd probably bring in, but I think the likes of Borges, the likes of as I said, Bowen moving up there maybe as well. Again, it depends about what formation we play, really. And also Cornet as well. As I said, Cornet is someone who obviously he played centrally today as well. I like the away shirt they played in all white. Is that the strip or just the one? I think it is all in white. Is that strip? So parents all over the country, all over the world are going to have difficulty getting grass stains out of that. How likely do you think we'll be playing 4-4-2 next season? No, not very likely. I'll be honest. I think it'll be. Well, I don't know. I mean, we have played a few different formations throughout, but we noticed, I think it was the Tottenham game, he did revert back to the 4-2-3-1. So, yeah, it's we shall wait and see. Loads of comments. Let's try and get a few more. Cornet Hands stands out with his Guinness hairdo. Indeed, Divine Mubama, future he certainly is. He has the same sort of build and style as Antonio. Anton's back. Rice is gone. Why not use 105 on Onana or Casado? Well, there we go. Onana, I can see more likely than Casado, in all honesty.
Do you know what? I really do rate Onana, but see, something makes me think that we're not going to sign anyone we really know, or maybe like I could still see something like Jonathan Tah.
Yeah, I think that could happen. I think Jonathan Tah could happen, but actually, I don't know with Harwood-Bellis as well. I think he could be the centre half option. And he's sort of like, I'm really. If we get him for 15 million quid, he's homegrown as well. So you think that they have to put hell of a buyback on his contract with City to get him in? I'll be honest, because he's a real commodity. He's English. And he's Premier League, and anyway. No, I think he could be. I think maybe Jonathan Tah. I still think we will. Obviously, we need. We still need the left back. If Chris is going, so he'll need to be placed. And if it's someone like Truffet, who played at Rennes with Agard, I think that's probably my preference out of them lot. I think Martins is more likely going to stay with Poch. And Poch is going to see how he plays in the pre-seasons. A bit like Tuchel did with Borges last year. Sort of like kept an eye on him, then chucked him out when it was too late. Right back maybe as well. Obviously, Soufal had some minutes today, some nice crosses in the box. But again, it's just pre-season, isn't it? I just think that it's that midfield. So, Borges and Harwood-Bellis are great, but they don't address the midfield. So we still need that midfielder, and I think you need it. I think you need a name there. You do need a name there.
Yeah.
I don't think going out and buying a 21-year-old Bundesliga is going to cut it.
Yeah,
because we still got no. But we don't know, do we? We don't know. I think the fact is we're not thinking Harvey Barnes. And so the money we were thinking about buying for him will probably be spent on Palhinha.
Yeah,
I still think we're going to get Joao Palhinha.
Do you know what? It's funny when you talk about. If you briefly talk about Palhinha, as long as we just don't pay over the odds, you know, and that's I think what's his chops McKinley actually says it in the interview. He clearly says, "Listen, people know we've got the Declan Rice money, but we simply will not pay over the odds for a player we don't think is valued at that price, and that's fine. That's fine." And I kind of do agree with that. But loads of people are on the wavelength that sometimes if you buy a player, there's so much mindset of buying a player that's 28 This is just like a new way of thinking. Like if you buy a player at 28, like, what are you doing? There's no sell-on value, all that sort of stuff. But sometimes what you do is you lose out on valid, like a player at the peak of their career, like playing the best they've played ever and still have got that time, you know, to progress a club. Like if Palhinha, if they genuinely believe Palhinha comes in and solves that problem and can really progress the club, and he gives us 3-4 years of that, then that's 50-60 million pounds worth well spent.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it just depends on how you look at it. It depends on how you build it up and what you look at. I mean, listen, I've been watching quite a lot of. We saw a lot of him last year in the Premier League, and I've particularly been going back and look at his highlights reels and stuff like that. Like he'll be a unit in the middle of the park. There's no ifs or buts about it. Like he'll be everywhere. Stats are ridiculous as well. And do I think he adds value to our team? Yes, in the nicest possible way. And this is a Declan Rice free zone, but you know, let's not beat about the bush. He was a fantastic player. He always will be a fantastic player. But sometimes fantastic players can hold other players back.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
And I think we've all said that. And by doing that means that maybe other players can flourish in their roles. So, you know, watching the video today with the new strip coming out in Paqueta, front line and centre, you know, gives me a bit of goosebumps. And I'm just thinking about the prospect of him and who he can potentially play with. And I suppose if he's looking at a guy who speaks the same language as him, like you can put, you know, that's another, maybe that's worth 10 million. So,
well, do you know what? For all like, you know, players bedding in and things like that, I think you do pay a premium for players who can come in and just play, who are up to speed. And I think Palhinha is up to speed, you know, and so particularly now getting closer and closer to the actual start of the season, we can't afford to buy our new midfielder and then them take 2 months to get ready or 6 weeks to get ready. So for me, Joao Palhinha coming in, if we did get him in, and by what we've heard, he's open to the move. He wants to move. It sounds like Silva might be going to the Saudis. There seems a lot of problems over in Fulham at the moment. The likes of, you know, Mitrovic has decided he doesn't want to play for him anymore because they blocked his move to Saudi Arabia.
But they're spending money today, though. But they're spending money today.
I know, but Saudi Arabia really fucked up the Premier League. You know, it's like it's everything's gone crazy because of them. And so you know, he might be seeing the wheels coming off a bit early now. So actually, you know, people are turning their nose up to buying a 28-year-old, but he's coming in and ready to go now. You know, he can, you know, and I think that there's something in that.
And I think there's something in that, like, this is why we want movement ASAP, because we've got a couple of preseason games to familiarize themselves with each other, and that's what's key for me. It's not a case of signing them with the Premier League game, the first game, to do it. You know, I really don't want to be. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to be lining up for the Premier League game with the exact same 11. Or there needs to be someone new. You know, I think that's it. But then again, something else to consider is the fact that, you know, if you have Max Cornet back fit, you have Scamacca back fit. We can talk about Scamacca in a minute with his non-inclusion in the squad today. But, you know, if he is fit, then they will feel like new signings. They will. And let's also remember, we never had a Gerd from the start of the season last year. So this is going to be his first full season in a West Ham shirt.
If you go back and look at the side that started that Man City game, none of our new signings started that Man City game.
Yeah.
And you know, as we said, you know, the likes of Scamacca would be like a new signing for us, really. As you said, again, never started the season. So from what we started last season to how we're going to start this season, the team will look better on paper. But you're right, we want one or two at least coming in to just make it seem something's moving. That, you know, it's not stagnant. And I know what you mean.
Listen. See when it comes to, when I look at the Fulham situation and I look at the Brighton situation with Caicedo and Palhinha, and I think to myself, like, you know, Palhinha is the wrong side of the 20s compared to Caicedo. But for me, Fulham would be silly knocking back that amount of money for a player that they signed for, I don't know how much they signed them for.
20 million.
20 mil. And, you know, for them to invest that money and genuinely try and push on as a club, a bit like the way that West Ham have done. But, you know, the reason why Declan Rice went for 105 million for them is because he's a young England international at
Yeah.
the top of his game. He's got the typical 25 million England inflation price on him. And then, he's just won a cup. I mean, he's a captain of a club and he's just won the cup. So there's another 25 million, 30 million quid on him for that alone. So, literally, I'm not just saying this, but if I were Fulham, I'd be like that. Yeah, let's take 55, whatever West Ham want to do, and try and go and reinvest that. But equally, though, they're going to need maybe a bit of a war chest if they have to get a new manager because, if they lose Silva and they lose Mitrovic, like their main goal scorer, they're going to have to go into the market and replace that.
Exactly. With such such a small time frame before the season starts. It wouldn't be ideal, but I think he's. Yes, as I said, I think he's been approached by a Saudi side potentially. But I was even reading that even like the Saudi third league, like the third division, they're getting guys in who from like League 1 and League 2 who are on 50, 60K a year and doubling, tripling their money, plus giving them like a car, and they're trying to literally buy the whole infrastructure. So it's not just the top league. I think the second division's Robbie Fowler's a manager. It's crazy.
It's interesting because I think Peter Chelmsford said Silva offered silly money hard to refuse.
Yeah,
I think I was watching something today and they were saying that Silva feels like he's got a point to prove in the Premier League, and that's I think if it gets to a silly round, which I think it already is now, he may be turning his head, but he has knocked them back already. And listen, look at Aston Villa. They've pulled out a signing from under the hands of from Saudi Arabia when the offer was on the table for Diaby as well. So that's fine saying that. Yeah, listen, you can be generational wealth, but you can still let's not beat about the bush here. Aston Villa paid Kamara, from what we understand, last year 170 grand a week.
And Diego Carlos as well. Diego Carlos, they put on something like 250 grand a week or something like that to take him away from Sevilla.
So they will be paying Diaby a lot of money, generational wealth money, in my opinion, and therefore he's going to have to weigh that option up. So it can people can stay and not be tempted by it, but Silva's young enough. But he could go for a couple of years and come back. I don't know. But either way, the point is, if I was Fulham, I'd be looking at Palhinha and thinking, 50 mil, take that. Does he add value to our squad? Fucking right, he does. I think he as I said, we're gonna buy players who, and I think it was Jonathan. Where is it? Jonathan asked, do you think we'll get a Marquee signing, or would it be 4 or 5 young sort of known instead? So, and again, that to me shows a difference between a Moyes signing and a Tim Steidlen signing. I think Tim Steidlen signing 4 or 5 young players we probably haven't heard of, or maybe some people heard of if they're really clued up on their European football, for example. But I think the fan base, although we want 4 or 5 younger players, young, hungry, I think we still also want a Marquee signing. Yeah,
we don't want to go. We need, you've lost here, you should not be named, and that's a huge loss in terms of star power, but in terms of known players, and to replace him with someone who's, I don't know, as you said, like a 21-year-old midfielder from, I know, Union Berlin. He might be bloody good, but he's not going to excite. He's not going to get us off our seat straight away. Do you know what I mean? He's going to have to develop into the position. So I think it is a combination of both. I think, Jonathan, I think you will get a couple of, like we said, Carlos, Taylor coming in possibly as a double signing. Probably about £30 million for the both of them, I'd imagine, based on, or 29 million, 30 million, based on what we've been quoted before on them. And then you'll need you will need a Joao Palhinha, maybe even a JWP or someone like that, just to have a bit of just someone who could slot in straight away as a piece of the puzzle that fits in. He doesn't need to be shaved off to, have to be pushed in. He can just slot in straight away, because otherwise we'll have loads of kids developing. They may develop by the end of the season, but we could be relegated by then. So, yeah.
I genuinely do have faith in the squad. you know, if I take myself back, rewind back to the start of last season, bringing in all these new signings, you know, I felt like maybe it was, I think no one's beating about the bush here. I think Moyes held us back from the start because I think in my opinion, you know, he didn't start Scamacca. I don't see why Scamacca, I genuinely don't know why Scamacca didn't start the first game. I don't think there was any reason except for him saying he needed to bid into the Premier League. I think that detrimented Scamacca, to be honest. At the start,
he got off on the wrong foot. He got off on the wrong foot. I think.
Got off the wrong foot, and I think I said this point to you during the season, you know, and I used Haaland as an example. But then when Newcastle signed Isaac, as soon as he signed, I think the next day he played and he scored, and he was straight off the mark. Nothing beats that for a striker scoring a goal instantly, as quick as you possibly can. You're off the mark. You're no pressure there anymore, or the pressure is less than what it was before. So it's exciting. I mean, listen, I want signings now. Absolutely. It's frustrating that we've not. But I'm back to this one. Like, by this time next week, Russ, I do expect.
Didn't we say it last week?
We did, mate, but
we do expect.
I expect to.
Do you know what? I generally expect stuff next week because people.
Yeah, but Russ, you did say that last week as well, though.
Yeah, but I didn't think about Australia. In all honesty.
Yeah, I know.
But you know, the trouble is, I think there's been people, you know, all over the bloody place, and now I think we're back, which is one of the reasons why Moyes doesn't like going to foreign places like miles, you know, like I don't know, 20-hour flights or whatever Jack had to do, because of that. You know, you're trying to bed the side, you're trying to get match fitness, you're trying to get minutes in the legs, but also you're trying to settle your squad and get more players in, and it doesn't always work with the time difference, I think, by all accounts. But yeah, no, it's I think there should be some movement. We probably this time next week will be all millionaires, says Steve. Millionaires. Terry the Butcher, Terry the Baker's in. All right, Tel, good afternoon to you. Hope you are, mate. Hope you're making your cookies. Yeah, Jim Ashby did score against Rangers, but he's going to be probably going out on loan because they're signing Livramento, aren't they, from Southampton? So that was a good move for Ashby, wasn't it? Didn't the same thing happen to Sunday? Sonny Perkins hasn't gone out on loan just yet, but they did get relegated, didn't they? So yeah, we go. That worked well for him as well, didn't it?
Absolutely.
There we go. Who do you think will leave? Oh, who do you think will leave?
Honestly, I don't think. I think there's a possibility of one player leaving.
Who is?
I think it's between a couple, but I don't think there's going to be a few. I think Antonio possibly. You know, listen, the only route for Antonio is going to be Saudi Arabia. If that doesn't happen, then he's not going. I don't think he won't leave West Ham. Possibly Danny Ings, because I still think whether people like it or not, there's an option there for him to return to his club, Southampton, and Ward-Prowse to leave and come, and there could be a deal to be made, and he could be tempted. You know, he may get a conversation taking place, Divine sneaking over his back, Scamacca stays. You know, does he want to be not playing at his age as well? So that could be an option. I don't know what the situation. I mean, there's maybe another player that I've not mentioned, but not so big on the mindset. It's Connor Coventry. But he seems to be just there all the time. He seems to be there.
Someone asked. I mean, X said that there's been no offers yet for him. So which is a bit like it's like he's not going to get first team football. So you know, you think he would be available for loan, and no one's come in for him, which is a bit like, okay, well that probably just explains where he's good. Where you know. Yeah. If he's not got like League One clubs, battering down the doors to sign him, and
I think Creswell might fall through. I don't think Ben Johnson's going to leave.
No, I think that's going to quiet. That's going to quiet now. I think.
Yeah. So I don't think there'll be many leaving. And if you chucked 2 or 3 players out the current squad that we've got, then we're going to need to replace. I mean, remember, we've not got Lanzini, we've not got Declan Rice, you know, so we're going to need to replace 6 or 7 or 8 possibly players. And I think we were already thin on the ground anyway, so let's put Mubama up in the senior squad. That's one of those players kind of fixed up. So I think we're going to, interesting.
Yeah, no, I think I think we'll see 3 players leave officially. I think I see Cresswell going, Antonio going, and Vlasic going finally. But we forget about Vlasic. But I still think he's got a role to play in maybe Scholes coming in, maybe from Torino, in a player plus cash deal. I still think there's a role for him there. I mean, I think he's training. He's back at Rush Green. Obviously, yeah. So today, if we talk about the Dagenham Redbridge game, obviously there was a number of It wasn't just Scamacca. There was a number of the first team players who weren't in there. Paqueta wasn't in there. Bowen wasn't in there, for example. Antonio wasn't in there. Obviously, the likes of Antonio has been giving a little extra time off because of his Gold Cup escapades. Paqueta, they just didn't bother. Although it's only like down the road. It's literally down the road. You could literally walk to Dagenham Redbridge's ground from Rush Green. Scamacca wasn't given the game time either. It was very much more of a youthful side, I think, with a couple of the internationals thrown in, maybe to just give them a few minutes, really. The likes of, obviously, Agard played. Areola, Tilakira, Sufal, Souček. Souček played appallingly. Lost the ball, which then made they scored off his mistake because Areola let it go was completely dumbfounded with the path of the ball, and didn't save a penalty again. But yeah, so I think I wouldn't read too much into Scamacca not being in the squad today. As you said, there's so much, and I said it, I think it was Friday. There's so much, like Scamacca wants to come back to Italy. Like loads of stuff, but it's all coming from the Italian press. I think Roma. I think old Tiago Pinto. He's got all the Italian journalists in his back pocket, and he's getting them just pump stories about the Scamacca wants to come home, pump, and eventually, if you throw enough shit at something, it will stick.
Yeah,
that's the way I see it. Because nothing came back the other way. All we've been told, and all is same as everyone else in terms of the intention is to keep Scamacca. He's going to be number one. We're going to give him another chance. You listen to his interview. Billy McKinley said the same thing. Kevin Nolan said the same thing. So I don't see Scamacca leaving. I see Antonio leaving. Scamacca moving up a position, so to speak. But I definitely think Cresswell's gone. Cresswell's gone if we get Truffet in or someone like that, or Melvin. I just want to Melvin Bard. That's his name, Melvin Bard. I think he's from one of the Liga sides. And there's Ismail Jakobs from Monaco, who I think also played in the Bundesliga as well. So that's why I think there's more into that. But Truffet apparently has been recommended by Agard because they used to play together. So I think there's 3. I think that's it. I think Ben Johnson talks on quiet. Unless a side comes in with money for Souček, I think Souček's staying. I
don't think so. I don't think he'll get rid of Souček, mate.
I think
for some silly money, but maybe even at that
for the contract. I think it's for the contract.
But I just think, but that would be an overhaul, and I don't think we need that.
Yeah,
I think they need some form of consistency in the middle of the park. Like I don't think you can, as much as people will hate what I say. But you get rid of Souček, you've lost Souček, Rice, and you've only got Paqueta. And then people will start talking about putting Fornals, dropping them into the middle. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be the future of our
He's not going to, because he would have already changed. He would have done that 2 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And so he for me, he may get a little bit more game time in the middle because he takes over from maybe that Lanzini role. And arguably he's definitely a better player. But again, I think if Real Betis comes in with money, I think Fornals is off. Generally,
no, mate.
Is he a first team starter?
I think he's gonna.
Is he a first team starter? Would he?
It depends on the style West Ham's going to play.
Would he start him instead of Paqueta? Would he start instead of Souček?
Possibly.
Would he start instead of say Joao Palhinha? If they just spent, if he did come in, they'd spend 50 million quid. No, that's what I mean. Would he start in front of Ben Rama? No. He's 27. And so he's one of these players. Again, it's the sense. It's one of these players where I think he's a great player, and unfortunately, Moyes don't play him. So actually, someone like Pellegrini, it's his own. He's the one who bought him in from Villarreal. Again, this year was a Euros year as well. That's probably going to be the last time, realistically, that Fornals could probably get into the Spanish side. In all honesty, because he's 27, be 28 by the time it comes around. He'll be knocking on 30 when it comes to the World Cup. Will he get in? I don't think so. So, I don't want to see him go, but I can see it happening.
Russ, look at this, man.
Yeah, I know. Doesn't mean nothing, though, does it?
Can't help but look at him.
Yeah, it doesn't mean nothing, though, does it?
Leave him alone, mate. Leave him alone.
I'm just saying.
On that though, do you like his top? Do you like the top?
I like the top. I like the it's a little bit lazy because we had a very similar top a couple of years ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which is almost exactly the same. I like the collar. We should put that collar on the home shirt as well, because that home shirt collar looks a bit weird. And I like the silver badge. As I said, I know you can get it with the Betway sign off, because I always get it with the Betway sign off anyway. I think it looks smarter, but I don't think you can get it with the JD Sports badge off, which is a bit of a mistake.
Yeah,
which is a bit of a mistake. But yeah, no, I think everything else. I think Johnson. I think that's gone quiet with Everton now. Yeah, do you know what, Ray? This is a great show. I was watching it's a great YouTuber called Kieran Kara, who's really good, and he does a football channel as well. And he designs, and part of it he does is the best shirts and the worst shirts and the Premier League and stuff. And he did a video last week about the insanity of Burnley, Aston Villa, and West Ham. The fact is, all their shirts look like each other's this season, and he basically recreated it. And he goes, right, okay. West Ham, he sort of recreated it like the West Ham, so it looked a little bit less like a Aston Villa shirt. And he was like, first, they take the bubbles off, and secondly, they've just won like a European trophy. The first time since the mid-60s, their first trophy since 1980. Where's the gold? Where's the gold? Arsenal have got gold all over their shirt, and they won fuck all last year. So he basically recreated it with, and he had like the away shirt, the home shirt rather, with it in gold. It looked fucking nice, including the Betway. And he says that, and we have done it before, because obviously we have had the gold shirt with the black and gold, didn't we? Which was amazing. Ian Martin, I don't think he's going to come to us. I think he's staying with Chelsea for the time being. West Ham might be a late one on the transfer deadline day if he decides he doesn't like you anymore.
Conor Gallagher's probably still on as well. I mean, that's another player.
I think basically Poch just give him all the pre-season to check them all out.
Yeah.
And so I think that could be a late one, maybe. I think Cresswell will leave if its time is up. Yep, no, I think he is. But if we get replacement, he's gone.
You'll love this one. You love this Photoshop I just done in 1 second. You'll laugh.
So this is what I do. This is what I do. The graphics. The again one's brilliant. It looks like when we had XL holidays, and then they went into administration.
Yeah, they put a big stamp on it.
They just put the patch. They just cut up an old shirt. The back of they cut up some shirts from the. This is a true story. They cut the shirt. They got a couple of shirts from the club shop, cut them up, patched them on, and thought that's fine. Not realizing that when people sweat, it sort of. And actually saying that lunchtime tomorrow we're putting up the greatest West Ham shirts of all time as voted for the West Ham Network community. And there's one shirt which David Cross wears, and he's sweating so much through it. But because the collar's the same colour and the sweat doesn't happen there, it looks fucking awful. So there we go.
It was so bad. Look, I'm just going to remind people of this.
Absolutely brilliant. The patch era. They actually did a good thing with the patch. When, like, I'm thinking if you look at someone like David D. McKaylee as an option, or if you look in Google, they made the patch with the numbers in it, and it looked really good, really classy, really classy. But XL Holidays, they also had the XL Holidays, like they had a massive banner on top of the East Stand.
That's
so
right. So they did.
As planes were flying over into Stansted, they would see it.
Yeah.
Fucking clever, brilliant marketing. They had fuck all money.
Until the company fucked off.
Yeah, exactly. And then we had Alpari until they fucked off, and then we've done quite well really with them.
West Ham in it.
Will Moyes choose Souček as a captain? We'll be surprised. He was captain today. Yes. Fucking hell. Colton Cole. That Colton Cole must be. Brilliant, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Jesus.
Oh, and then they done the SBO bet over the top, didn't they?
But squeezed up the aspect ratio.
Oh, I need to
find the SBO bet.
Fuck, I've got that. I've got that.
Unsurprisingly, neither of those shirts are in the top 15
my
voted for
God.
by you guys, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Just announced on Twitter that Doris T. Lady has joined Spurs. Levi has joined from Spurs. Levi is livid, says Peter Chelmsford. Both of them thinking, should I have joined Millwall? Joan guaranteed he will. I said this a couple of weeks, if he would give it to another favourite of his Fabs, we could see Moyes will start him in goal next term. Obviously, you're talking about Thomas Suchek, I'd imagine. Let's just go through his loads of. Look at that. That's ridiculous. Literally, Colton. What's he doing with his cheeks as well?
And they probably sold it for about 40 quid.
I don't think they actually sold. I don't think they actually sold it. I can't remember them selling
Russ,
it. I don't think they sold it.
I'm sure. I've got a funny feeling.
I need to ask what's his face because he's got all the. He's only got.
No, I think I've got it. I've got a funny feeling I've got that upstairs. There's actually one with Ensirico wearing it as well. That was
yes, yeah, there would have been. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, I always let Moyes have the same chances, but he's lost. I totally agree, Victor. I totally agree. Why they let him Moyes, but I suppose he has to play him at the same time. So you're not going to buy anyone who can't play. When we get Gallagher from Chelsea, says Richard, I think that'll be one towards the end of the transfer window. I think after Poch's seen them all play pre-season and then decides who's going out, who's he selling, that type of thing from the guys he's already got. Not a fan of this kit. Wouldn't bother getting one. Probably got a reproduction of 0809. Savio Noresco with Paul Scholes behind him. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Have your West Ham view on chat. Hello, boys. Hope you're well.
Yes, how you doing, lads?
Good to see you. You may see some more of them coming in the future on the West Ham networks. Keep an eye out on them. Dammy to West Ham last dance. Dammy?
Payet.
Oh, Dimitri Payet, yes. The last dance. I don't think so. Sorry, guys. I think he's off to the Saudi League, by all accounts. Did he he or should not be named play for Arsenal today against the? He did last. Is it yesterday? He played yesterday, I think.
No, Arsenal. I think they're playing. I actually think they might be playing now.
They played the MLS. They already played the MLS side, didn't they, last week? They already played. They won like 4-5-0, didn't they? Was Roger Johnson our best signing ever? Yes, exactly. 75 quid. I think the shirt is, isn't it, for adults? Ridiculous.
Well, I tell you what, it's ridiculous, Gary, because I buy Freddie the West Ham strip every single year, every home one, and then wait till the sales for the away strip. But this year for Freddie, for the full strip, is 105 quid without a name, without a badge on the strip at all. So I mean, listen, it fucking forces people's hands to go elsewhere, and I've never been like that, but it would force my hands to go elsewhere. 105 quid. I don't know who to blame for it, whether it's Umbro, whether it's the retailers, but whatever. I just don't understand why.
Yeah, because someone put up
because Russ. The other thing, quickly, Burnley are selling their top made by Umbro for 50 quid. So why are we selling it for 75?
Was it someone put up on Twitter how much we actually get from a shirt?
I don't know how true that is.
Because somebody did it for Man United. How much once you put everything into taking out the sponsor, how much you actually get for a shirt? And it was something like, for every shirt that was sold, it was something like 15 quid or something like that goes to the club or something. I don't know exactly. But yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And I mean, every shirt's gone up. Every shirt's gone up from last year. And you know, I think Arsenal was it 65, I think, for a home strip last year. And so it's gone up by a tenner, which is, you know, in a time when people haven't got another £10 to spend on the shirt, let alone buy a season ticket and stuff, let alone buy fucking heating or food.
Most places are saying that the club makes I've just from doing a very quick search, all independent sites, all coming up with the same answer, that roughly clubs make anything between 10 to 15% on each top sold. Roughly. Yeah. That's what they're saying the club makes. I don't know if that warrants, though, the club having to keep putting the price up all the time. Because I think in actual fact, if you look at the amount of sales you would get, then, you know, then that could outweigh it. But I suppose it's a business model. That's what they want to do, then they're going to do it. And they're kind of, not saying they're entitled to do it, but I think we're like 5th in the league for the most expensive top.
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that. Something like that. It's a bit, it's just ridiculous. But saying that, if you don't want to buy the current shirt, then there's loads of good stuff on Kitbag. Loads of good stuff on Kitbag, isn't there? Our friends at Kitbag. That's the link. We'll put it in the chat. That's the link to all the stuff. All the retro shirts are on there, and they do like free shipping and shit like that. So check that out. But use that link, and then we get a pat on the back from Kitbag, and they'll probably have all the West Ham kit on there soon, the new ones as well. So you don't have to. You can stick with retro, and you don't have to buy one. Have to worry about it. It's a retro shirt, and they've got all like the ones. They've got some of them actually on there, which feature in our top 15 shirts of all time, as voted for by the West Ham Network community, including the what was the one I saw the other day? Which I'm too fat to get in it at the moment. The 2000 away shirt, the blue one with the collar, the Hanu Tiernan shirt. I called it. You probably got it. You got it there, the blue one.
Oh no. I've got
check that out.
I've got the blue pony one up there.
The blue pony one
with the two claret stripes.
Yeah.
Tony Cotty one. I called it.
Tony Cotty one. Yeah, it's the same as the pony one tick. I call it the Trevor Morley shirt.
Yeah.
What we got here?
I've got that. I've got that one. Yeah. That one.
Yes, pony. Yeah, 93, 94. 93, 94. Which players would you like to see in a West Ham shirt next season? New players.
Mbappe.
Yeah, I've heard he's available. We could do a swap for Flynn Downs and because he don't want to go to Southampton and go to Paris instead. Flynn Downs and Danny Ings, that'll do.
Yeah. In all seriousness, fuck, we're getting so close to the season starting. I'm trying to put on my head who's realistic in the positions we need. So Palhinha.
Yeah.
Jonathan Tah. The two young lads from City. Anyone else, Russ? I know you've got a few.
Do you know what? To be honest, I'd probably say the same. I think like I would like. Well, Jonathan Tah would be nice, but he's not my pro. I mean, I would say Palhinha. I definitely think we need him. I know there's like he's 28, no still on value, but actually, I think what he'll bring to us now, is what we need. So I think Palhinha, and also because he's a proper CDM, you got to think Paqueta will be given license to roam, and that's what we want. That's what we want. And if he plays Palhinha, he'll probably Palhinha and Souček. That's fine. 2 blockers. Just let Paqueta fucking do his stuff, mate. Just let him do it. And if you have 2 up front, or if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, and the other 2, and fuck it, just let him do it. I think you'll have. I think Palhinha. I would like the 2 boys from City. I just think that gives us options off the bench with Borges and Harwood-Bellis could be our replacement for when basically Zuma gets injured. And you still got Tilo Kira there. You've still got Ben Johnson there. You've still got Oggy there. I think we're covered there. The only thing I want to see is the left back. I want that improved. So someone like Truffet coming in. I mean, Emerson's, if it comes to worse, we don't, and Cresswell doesn't go, we still got Emerson there. And I think Emerson did a fine job for us last season. But I think that's an area which we've neglected for the last 10 years. I think Emerson was seen as a bit of a stopgap. And actually, he's actually played really well. So I think now we need to develop that side.
Tony, I know you're saying that, but we probably are going to go back in for another offer. And it will be a kind of all in or that's it, because we need to move on from it. So I think, I think we will go back in there. I think we will. I think it's not a take it. I think, at the end of the day, I think there's clearly it's almost like, right, these are us. These are Tim Styden signings. These are Moyes' signings, and it goes, right, you give us these 2, and you can have that one, because that one's for your season now, and these 2 are going to be for you can Lonzo.
use. But actually, they're going to be for Alonso basically the season after next. Alex Scott still hasn't signed for someone. No one yet. Yep, indeed. That's all just gone quiet all over the place, mate, isn't it? Because I think Wolves really hot, but then Wolves just basically buying off all Dad's army. They're buying they want Cresswell. They've already got what's his face. Still got Dawson. They're going to buy bloody Doherty as well. They're buying all these.
Friend of the channel, Dave Azzopardi from Talking Wolves has said that someone had said, what's taking so long with the Creswell deal? And he's like, it's because bloody none of the fans want Wolves to spend £5 million on someone who's 33. So
I know.
I don't think the Wolves fans are too happy with it.
Well, I would be because you think, you still got this really good La Liga manager, former Spanish national coach, Real Madrid manager as well, and he goes and brings in Aaron Cresswell and Gary Doherty, who's played for him before. He played for Wolves before, and Craig Dawson, and you're thinking, what?
The only thing I'll say is maybe we shouldn't and people probably also, as West Ham fans, we know this, we should not underestimate managers and some of their signings. We've done it several times under David Moyes, and he has proven us wrong several times. As about whether people like it or not, he has. He done it with Craig Dawson. Craig Dawson was the example of that.
Yeah,
so
good shout. Fofana, that all went. Yeah, you said Fofana went quiet, went all guns blazing, and now it's got a bit quiet again. Now it just seems to. It's almost like agents and reporters are just testing the water and seeing what sticks. Really, in all honesty, Eri Wahi, who's the Montpellier striker we've been linked to, with 19 goals last season. I think he scored. I think that wasn't Toby. No, what's his name said he scored 4 goals against Leon last season as well. Very quick. Can get in a bit of trouble. So I don't think he'd pass the Moyes MOT test, in all honesty. It's a bit like Jacobs from Monaco. Check out his history with managers and stuff. Not very great. And actually, I think they're both. I mean, particularly Wahi is Senegalese, I want to say, which doesn't help for the African nations as well, which is a bloody good point, Victor, because that will come in January, and obviously we would lose Aged because they've already qualified. We'd lose Cornet if he's selected, and Ben Rama as well. Yes. So Oscar could go in, there's no problem. Oscar could go in and play. I keep coming Oscar because Oscar Borg, who used to play for us, Carlos Borges. It's very close.
Come on, Rusty boy.
Carlos Borges. Obviously, he could come in and obviously take over from Benny for that time, and maybe Taylor could do the same, or you've got Ogbonna who can come in and take. But isn't there a break as well? Would there be a 2-week break as well for the AFCON. During that AFCON? Well, just because it's the winter break as well, maybe. I don't know. While I'm dumping in Rusty's shirt, I'm sitting here not wearing any clothes as GP. I'm wearing this because everyone loved my yellow, khaki one when I was with Gary on Claret and Booze. So I put the home shirt. It's the home shirt on. Yes, left back, and I imagine that's right back in general has been neglected for years. Definitely left back. I mean, Cresswell's been the answer, isn't he, for the last 9 years? And then Emerson was brought in, and they did try. Stephen Hendry. Do you remember Stephen Hendry?
God, remember him?
Yeah.
Did he not officially? Was he not still on our books up until? Not. Hold on a minute. There was something with him. Let me have a look here. Let you do the old.
Any news on Max Aarons? None at the moment. As Peter says, they want 30 million or 25, 30 million for him. So jog right on for that one. Take Alex Scott on a loan with an obligation to buy, like we did with Ben Rama. I'm sure Bristol City will let us have him on loan for sure. Must be 120. It's 123, I believe. Or is it 123 actually now? 123 players have been linked to. There we go. Yeah, Steve. Yeah, he was here for a long time.
Yeah, no, ignore me. But he didn't even play. He didn't play.
No, he didn't. He did. He wasn't he on the bench or something?
I think he was on the bench. Yeah, and then he was loaned out. I'm just having a look and see. I didn't realise. Yeah, he went Southend, Blackburn, back to Southend permanently, and then straight up to Scotland.
Yeah, he's not on my my sort of my website where I get all my data from. He's not even on there. So it means he hasn't even made one appearance. Even Danielle Henry's on there because he made one appearance in, I think it was Europa Conference League at London Stadium. I'm still trying to convince you. I'm still trying to comprehend. You said Palhinha and Suchik in the middle. You think we are slow now? Now seen epidemics move quicker, says Tim. Well, I just think that's what we'll end up going with. None of these, Winston says, none of these two City players will be signed. Moyes did not want the sales. He will want the money to purchase Harry Maguire. We're the only Premier League side who has not made a signing. Moyes is just a waste. I think it's maybe waste. Yeah, but the only other side that had one was Fulham, and they basically re-signed Willian. So that doesn't really count as a signing, I'd say, because they let him go and brought him back again like a week later.
Yeah.
We have made a signing. We signed Sean Moore from Cliftonville.
We have.
Don't you know? There we go. ITK on Nizam Brown was posting a cryptic message about Payet coming home. Oh, no. Alex Scott, you stop commentating.
Just don't rule it out. Anyway, what?
No.
Rule it out.
No, not happening.
Don't rule it out.
Not happening, mate. Not happening.
Would you not just sign him just to sing the song?
No.
What a song. What a song, though.
Great song. But no. It's not happening, mate. Not happening in month of Sundays. I'd rather spend that money on Jared Bowen's contract to make sure he signs. Do you think Steve Round will join the coaching staff? Possibly. He hasn't got a job. I reckon we'll see Gary O'Neill turn up.
Yeah.
Still think so. And yes, it'll be a case of he'll go next year. Oh, Moyes is letting another one go. I think it's about, you want your coaches to be doing good jobs because it means the side are doing well, hopefully. And it means other people want your players, your coaches. But we shall see. We shall see indeed. Might as well get Arnie back. Well, I stand behind my opinion that Marko Arnautovic was the perfect forward for David Moyes' formation.
He was unbelievable, wasn't he?
He was brilliant. He was, for what Moyes, that 4-2-3-1, Antonio's great at doing it. When he's great when he's on song. But Arnautovic had pace, he had power, he had skill, and he was a bastard as well.
He was.
And we loved him, and he was brilliant.
He was fucking loved, man. When that whole the China thing, wasn't it? Like,
it's
fucking open his mouth, man.
It's history repeating itself, really, isn't it? Because now the Saudi League is a bit like the Chinese Super League, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously he lost. He went to the Chinese Super League. Obviously, there was the hostage video, wasn't it, outside in the darkened room where he sort of said, "I love West Ham. I'd never want to go anywhere." And about a week later, he fucked off. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Who's better free kicks, JWP or Payet? Well, JWP needs one more. Obviously, he's been there longer. He needs one more free kick goal to be the all-time free kick goal scorer in the Premier League ever. Taken over from David Beckham. Love to sign Gary O'Neill. I can see that happening. Looking forward to Carlos Borges. Sorry, Russ. Oscar Ball. Very good. Is it official that West Ham fans boycott Muller Rice? Yes. I'm getting literally all my YouTube videos at the moment. Every time I watch on YouTube, it seems I'm getting bloody Muller Rice adverts.
Yeah,
as like my little pre-roll. Oh, and I'm seeing them everywhere now.
Yeah,
like the worst place you want to put them is Hornchurch, Romford. Like, it's proper. Like, they're just getting defaced.
Yeah.
What was the rumor over Felix other than the picture in Ben Rama's shirt? That's all it was.
There was no rumor.
that was it. He wore Ben Rama's shirt. I had to sell 4 nails at all. Michael, definitely 25 million. So versatile, works hard. And I mentioned he has great vision. We should get Will Steele into work under Moyes so he knows what not to do as manager. Well, I'm pretty sure Rem will have something to say about that, Lawrence, unfortunately. Although he has done his badges now. Bill has.
And did they not sell their star striker? Who did they sell?
He did not sell him, but they sent him back to Arsenal. He's on loan, isn't he? Yeah, so we were being linked to him. Yeah. We should have been in for Aaron Hickey before Brentford. Well, loads, as Anton's man, old Bassi, from Ajax, who's now going to go to
Fulham.
20 million.
I mean, listen, he just his adaptability and is it's not worked out at Ajax, but it wasn't essentially his fault. I've kept an eye on his career. It was just the style of play that they were playing, and it wasn't really impacting, and he wasn't getting a chance to transition. So I think what I find interesting is the fact that after only a year, either the club are willing to give up on him and he's willing to give up on the club and come back to the country. But maybe Fulham are looking at it and think, what they called Ajax are looking at it and think we'll get the money back on what we on our offer.
So it's
he's just a young player that was not born in the country but brought up in Newham, knows the area.
Yeah,
it's got the ability. Yeah, so that's why I thought we would may have looked at him. But I'm not bothered by not going for him because I trust. I'm. People get fucking pissed off with me because I've done it last year and I said trust the process. Essentially, in the Premier League, I was wrong, but in Europe, I wasn't. I can admit that.
Yeah,
I'll tell you where I'm at now, Russ. I'm trusting the fucking process because they brought Tim Steidten in.
Do you know what? I'm not. For me, it's. I mean, realistically, I'm only really bothered about us bringing in one player, and that is that. If as long as we bring in a midfielder, the rest I think we could probably, it's not the ideal situation, and I don't think we will just bring in one player. But as long as we bring in a replacement for he who should not be named, the former captain, that's all I really want. Because you think on paper, and we've gone through the paper, and gone through the side and looked at it. That's the only glaring gap. In all honesty, if everyone stayed, if people go, then they get replaced. That's what we should do. But it's not. I'm not totally shitting myself because we haven't signed anyone. I want to sign players because I want us not to stand still. But actually, if you look, goalkeeper situation, that's okay for at the moment. I think centre backs are okay. We've got enough cover there. I would like to see us get another centre back, but there we go. Right back, we're probably okay for this season. Again, I would put my consider improvement there, but that's not high on my agenda. Left back, if Aaron doesn't go, you've got Emerson, you've got Cresswell, you've got Ollie Scars. That's 3 for me. That's okay. Midfield is where it's at. Souček, Downs. That's okay. We still got Connor Coventry, of course, but he's not. I wouldn't even put him inside. You've got Freddie Potts coming through as well. But you need that other midfielder there. Yes, Fornals could drop in there as a push, but the likelihood is he'll be on the left because that's where Moyes puts him, although arguably he's better in the middle. Paqueta in the 10 role, whatever number he's got now. I think he's 10 now, isn't he? Striker's okay. Left side is okay. Right side's okay. But it's okay. So it's not like I just want that sort of middle sorted. And then we can just see where else will be. I really thought, because that's what happened last year, isn't it? We definitely went sort of back to front. We did the defense, then we did the midfield, and then we ended up with the striker. Yeah. We ended up with Scamacca. And it's almost like, but we need to start the midfield. We just need to get midfield. That's the only thing I'm slightly worried about. If it turns out that we end up with a starting midfield and against Bournemouth of Paqueta, Downs, and Souček, not the end of the world. It ain't the end of the world. It's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. We played a fair few games last season with the former captain not in the squad, and we did okay. So right. if it's fit, if you're not getting someone like Palhinha or someone like Billing from Bournemouth, I think it's a great player, but he's 27. So I think he'd be a really good player for us, or Nana or someone like that. Perfect. That's exactly what we need. But if not, I'll be pissed off. But I'm not going to rant and rave because we don't know what's going on down the path, innit? We don't know. God forbid we have a really crap start to the season and he's gone by October, November time. Yep. New manager comes in, and then come January he'll have a war chest.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that's how it's happening, but I'm always a half glass full person, and that's the alternative for me. They get in, if it all goes to shits and they get in Xabi Alonso. Must be odds on, isn't it? Then he'll have some money to bring in the right players at the right time.
100%.
So we'll see. 100%. And a good point about the coaching staff. Are we not bothered? Are we just carrying on? I have no idea, Jonathan. No idea.
Your guess is as good as ours.
Your guess is as good as ours. As I said, there was the rumor of Steve Round. There was rumors of Gary O'Neill. There was rumors of, I think someone said Ginger Pele. Maybe
how many coaches are we linked to now, Russ? We're up to what? 100? How many players? 123. So how many coaches now?
2.
You need to do a new list.
We need to do this just of like
You just named
Steve
three:
Round.
Gary O'Neill, Steve Round, and Ginge.
No, but I think I came up with the idea of Ginge. I don't think I
Right,
read that
okay.
anywhere, so I wouldn't put it on the list because I thought that'd be a good idea. Getting something like Ginge in would be a great shout.
Yeah,
Because like he's like the sort of that new like the next what I'd say the next sort of one from in terms of Kevin Nolan had that sort of weird like allegiance with the fans, and Ginger's had that for years as well.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that's what would happen. But anyway,
yeah, definitely.
Anyway, right. I'm gonna go. I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that's
we'll
good.
go. I think we'll go.
There you go. Saturday evening, little
Saturday
chin whack.
Saturday night live. And it's live.
It's
if you like what we
live.
do, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a subscribe. Maybe become a channel member. We had lots of, I think was it Friday? Or no, where's the other day? Was it Thursday? I did it. We had like 4 or 5 like new members on the live stream, which is great. But if you want to support the channel, there's a join button down by Anton, down by there, and you can support the channel, and you'll get access to additional content in the season, a lot more content coming your way as well for the members, and also getting into our prize draw every month to win some West Ham memorabilia, signed stuff. Got a couple of I've got to send them actually a signed football. Someone won it. Was it last week? We started giving away loads of stuff.
Yeah, we
Got to
did.
do that.
Actually,
We've got to do that. I've got to send all that. And then we'll do one for August. We'll do a couple of signed balls as well for that from the European Cup winners, conference winning side. And yeah, as I said, there's a link there if you want to join, as well as there's a join button down there. And yeah, until then, tomorrow we'll have the top 15 West Ham shirts of all time in terms of the kits, as voted for by the West Ham Network community. A few hundred people voted for that. So yeah.
And if there's any developing stories, then we'll make sure we jump on and give you,
of course,
any of that as we possibly can. And hopefully, well, we said last week we don't do any work on a Sunday, and then suddenly something happened on Sunday, and it just was like, nah. So just keep your eye on the channel, and we'll keep you updated as much as we possibly can.
Although I'm going to go to the Barbie movie tomorrow, so there we go.
Well, Mary and the 2 kids went to see that last night, so you'll come. Yeah, they got all dressed up as well. So
yeah, I'll be wearing my Barbie outfit and stuff as usual.
Yeah,
that's just me on a Sunday anyway. Anyway, guys, so take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Myself and Mr. Baker. Come on, you irons. Much love. Bye.
Bye.
Tight.